My beloved child, this is not a coincidence. And this is not just another message crossing your path. Hear this clearly in your spirit. This very day was set by God for you. Before the sun rose, before you opened your eyes, heaven had already marked this moment. Archangel Michael is standing on guard with his sword raised and his voice steady. He is giving a warning that is laced with kindness. The fact that you are listening to this right now means that you have reached a divine intersection. What you do with this message will determine whether the doors open or close quietly. Something important needs to be shown. Your life has been moving toward a plan that you couldn't see while you were trying to stay alive, questioning and telling yourself, maybe later. God was lining up the right people, situations, and times for you. But pay close attention to this. Ignoring this message will not make things equal. It leaves behind loss where there should have been blessing. Pay close attention now. Things have been following a pattern that makes it seem like they get close and then fade. Promises are almost kept. We are almost there with answers and breakthroughs. This isn't because you aren't right. It is because obeying has been put off. Today was intended to be a hinge day, a turning point, a single shift in awareness, a single yes in the spirit. And a single choice to stop putting off what God has already confirmed. According to Archangel Michael, do not think this moment is not important. There has been something over your life, a task that has to do with your home, your job, your relationships, and your plans for the future. God planned to protect, provide, and make things clear. Attention changes plans, though. When you answer, heaven moves. Archangel Michael warns that if people ignore God's signs over and over again, He will not punish them, but will quietly take away the chance. Things that were supposed to go smoothly are starting to require extra work. This message isn't meant to scare you. It is meant to wake you up now. You feel a spiritual urgency. Today you might have been antsy for no reason, distracted or emotional in a strange way. That is because your spirit knew what your mind wasn't ready to understand yet. Your soul was the first to answer when heaven knocked. Archangel Michael is telling you that you need to stop scrolling through your future and start living it. Pay close attention to this fact. It is a simple but important warning. You shouldn't treat this like background noise. Don't tell yourself, I will think about it at another time. Promises made later are not kept with the same grace as promises made now. Right now, God wants you to do a certain thing. Acknowledgement, agreement, awareness, presence, but not perfection. If you follow through on the message, the plan will stay in place. The plan doesn't follow you when you ignore it. Archangel Michael tells us that some blessings depend on when they happen. If you miss the window, the season will be over. But listen to the kindness in this warning. Stay tuned because the plan has not been erased yet. Heaven wants to hear from you. That is why you were brought here instead of somewhere else. That is why this title interested you. This is the reason your heart is beating fast right now. The Archangel's sword, Michael, isn't against you. It has been raised for you, cutting through doubt, delay, and spiritual sleep. Talk to God right now. Not in a casual or hurried way. Clearly state, I am listening. There is a response from heaven. As soon as you acknowledge it, as soon as you align, protection starts to work. You can still hold on to what was about to fade. But let me be clear. There are more things going on than just words that you are ignoring when you mock, dismiss, or scroll past this message. Divine timing is no longer in your favor. Archangel Michael warns that what God planned to be easy might come back later as trouble or not at all. Do not be afraid to feel how serious it is. This is a holy pause. The kind where fates change, the kind where heaven looks down to see what you pick. Archangel Michael is keeping an eye on you right now to make sure that nothing that to you gets stolen. If you answer, watch out. What comes next will show you what today opens up, what was in danger, and how to make sure God's plans would come true from now on. Everything I have covered across this channel is now in one place. The prayers, the teachings, the daily blessings, it is all inside the Daily Miracle Manual link in the description. Please know that every seed you plant in this mission grows into a torch that shines in someone else's darkness. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, does not go to a channel. Your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. But more than your support, we want your presence. When you head to our community through the link in the description or the pinned comment, you aren't just visiting a site. You are entering a community of like-minded believers. This is a sanctuary where you can post your prayer requests, lift up the burdens of others, and engage in daily discussions with a family that speaks the language of faith. Whether you are joining one of our membership tiers for deeper study, sowing a seed of faith, or simply joining our daily morning prayers, you are helping us build a global altar of worship. Heaven moves through willing voices, but it grows through a community that stands together. Each gift you give acts as living water for those in our community seeking healing and hope. Guide and it will be given to you is the promise that sustains our shared mission. I invite you now to step out of the shadows and into this circle of prayer. Come with purpose. Join the conversation and plant your seed in fertile ground. Let's open the heavens together. Release your seed today. Join our community and see what God brings back into your life. Listen carefully now. Chosen one because Archangel Michael wants you to pay more attention. This is the second layer. God didn't just forget about today. He watched it before the opposition tried to take your attention away. Before there were even any doubts or hesitancies. Heaven put watchmen around this very moment. It was the job of Archangel Michael to make sure that you would at least hear the truth today. Just that alone shows how bad this is. I want you to ground yourself in this moment before we go into more detail about what this unlocking means for you. Heaven needs to know that you are there and interested. If you agree with what was said, type Amen in the comments below as a spiritual marker that declares, I am awake and I am receiving this, rather than as a formality. Do that right now. It is important to feel the weight of your own words as you type them. This is the first part of your answer. There is something you need to fully grasp. God's timing is not random and it is not always open to change. Every day that God sets aside, He also gives us responsibility. Responsibility to listen, responsibility to respond, and responsibility to act in line. A lot of people think that God will just do again what they missed. But Archangel Michael shows that heaven is organized by seasons, not by cycles of being spoiled. When a season ends, it doesn't leave behind curses, but rather an empty space. There is no longer any ease, favor, or protection that was once given for free. Today was meant to bring back something you thought was gone. Things in your life have been slowly getting worse. Not dramatic, not sudden, slow, loss of confidence, confusion about direction, and lack of motivation. You kept telling yourself it was just life, just being tired, just stressed. But Archangel Michael says the real reason is that you strayed a little from being in alignment, not rebellion, but wait, and delay turns into distance when it happens again. That is why God is breaking up your day now. Being far away costs something. Pay attention to this. Today, God planned for you to be clear. At that moment, the fog would finally clear and the question, "Why is this happening?" would start to begin to grow clear. But to be clear, you need to be still. You will trade clarity for more uncertainty if you quickly ignore this message or treat it like nothing. Archangel Michael is telling us that heaven doesn't make us understand, it gives it. Today is also linked to a sense of protection. You were not meant to be touched by something, a conversation, a situation, or a choice that could have hurt your future if you did it wrong. Today, God set up the inset so that you wouldn't just walk into it without thinking. Ignoring this message will not cause disaster right away, but it will take away an early warning. People often avoid regret in the long run by being warned early on. That is why your attention is more important than you think. Archangel, right now Michael wants you to take part, not just watch. To engage is to agree. Heaven stays involved because of the deal. When you like, comment, share, and take part in what God is doing here, you are not giving a video more views to align. You are sending a signal. If even a little of this hits home, like the video to show your support and share it with someone who is stuck or unsure because they may be going through the same thing without realizing it. Say something simple that shows you are aware, because acknowledging someone verbally has power. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Not for a channel, but because hearing the truth over and over again makes you more spiritually sensitive. Join the group of people who listen for when heaven speaks. It is not about hype. It has to do with alignment. Archangel Michael also tells a private story. You seem to have a habit of putting things off. You often know when something is important, but you put it off, telling yourself you will deal with it later. You don't realize how much that habit has cost you today. God is firm but not mad. This is the break in the pattern that was meant to happen. You can break the cycle of delay that has been following you for years if you respond now. Even if it is just to yourself. Do not get this warning wrong. Right now, God's plan is still in place. It depends on your answer, but nothing has been erased yet. Depending on how humble you are, heaven is watching to see if you will meet God in the middle, not to judge you. As a witness rather than an executioner, Archangel Michael is present. His job is to keep an eye on what is still available. You might feel resistance rising, that urge to downplay this by saying, "I have heard messages like this before." But that is not logic. That is discomfort. Because deep down, you know, this is too specific to ignore comfortably. There is more to come. And the next revelation tells you exactly what was meant to happen in your life today and what happens when people act in time. Hold on, because what is coming next will give you clarity that many people never get, and you will want to fully understand it before the end of the day. Please take this with respect, dear soul, as Archangel Michael now tells you what was supposed to happen in your life today. It was meant for something strong to come into the scene from somewhere else. Today was a day for restoration of authority. According to Archangel Michael, not power over other people, but power over your own life. Too long outside events have controlled your feelings, your pace, and your choices. God planned to give you back spiritual power, peace over stress, clarity over confusion, and direction over wandering too long. Outside forces have been calling the shots. And right now, there are people who have not yet heard that this does not have to be permanent. People who are still living at the mercy of their circumstances, still waking up reactive instead of grounded. This ministry is one of the ways that word finds them. It wasn't loud during this repair. There were no fireworks with it. You were able to receive it when you were aware of it and willing to say, I see this and I accept it. A lot of people miss it here. God usually fixes things quietly because loud fixes make people proud. Quiet restorations increase discernment. If you were looking for a big sign and didn't pay attention to the small push, you almost missed it. Archangel Michael says yes. Though since you are still here listening, the activation has still not run out. Heaven is waiting for a yes safety through instruction. No, God didn't want to warn you after something happened. You are about to make a choice. You will soon have to make a choice, have a conversation, or give a response. Delay happens because of the wrong answer. The right answer builds momentum. In order to avoid responding emotionally, impulsively, or fearfully, today's message was intended to sharpen your discernment. Ignoring this warning will not cost you anything right away, but it will take away your chance to get ready. Preparation is mercy ahead of time, says Archangel Michael. Today was also meant to free you from burdens that you didn't need. Some of the weights you carry were not given to you. You took on the pressure of the guilt you inherited, expectations that you took on board. God had a release planned for today. Not by getting rid of everything on the outside, but by changing what you carry on the inside. When you take God seriously, things change. When you stop thinking of divine nudges as suggestions, your choice makes sure you understand this. Heaven doesn't get angry easily, but heaven does follow patterns. God doesn't argue when messages are ignored over and over again. Your roots blessings not to punish but to keep God's order safe are changed. It is because God would rather correct you than lose you that Michael is warning you. You are on a very thin line right now. On one side, the same cycles are done again with a little more assistance. And on the other, alignment feels lighter, clearer, and more stable. Not hard work, but obedience makes a difference. Many times, God warns us. What God sends a person, it means something is important enough for someone to step in. You are not being picked on out of fear. People are choosing to keep you alive. Archangel Michael stands guard, not to scare you, but to make sure you know how important timing is. What was planned for today is still going to happen, but only for those who answer. Now, take a moment to think about this. Are you ready to stop putting off what you know God has been asking of you? Are you ready to listen without making any deals? Are you ready to treat today differently like it is holy? If the activation locks in or quietly passes, a choice is made. It is clear that Archangel Michael is there. That is not what this is about. How you stand. This is a posture of respect for divine timing, attention, and humility. If this message makes you feel something deep inside, if you can feel both the weight and the mercy, then take part in the ritual of agreement right now. Sign up for I Receive Divine Timing in the comments. If this speaks to your spirit, I hear the Lord say, those who help carry my light will never walk in darkness. This message is getting to people at the exact time that heaven planned. And if you obey, you can help it get to the next person who is having a very important day. Now though, heaven talks about what starts to change once you answer. This is where a lot of people feel like things are changing but cannot explain it. It starts slowly inside and almost quietly, but over time it changes everything. A recalibration starts as soon as you take this warning seriously, even in your heart, says Archangel Michael. Your spiritual senses get stronger. You start to see patterns that you didn't see before. The way we talk feels different. Some choices feel heavy instead of appealing all of a sudden. This is not a mistake. This is the return of discernment. God wanted you to stop wasting time and energy on things that don't help you. Today was meant to help you get back in touch with what makes you feel good and what makes you feel bad. There is a reason why there is a lot of confusion these days. As alignment gets worse, confusion grows. Not because God stops loving, but because following directions needs everyone to work together. Archangel Michael shows that a lot of what seemed like chaos was actually heaven waiting for you to notice it. As soon as you slow down and give thanks to God, clarity comes back. Not all at once, but just enough to move on. Very rarely does God show the whole staircase. He shows you the next step and waits for you to decide if you trust Him enough to take it. Because of this, ignoring this message would have cost a lot. You would have kept moving without any light, calling it effort or endurance when it was really just extra strain. God intended for it to be easy. But only when obedience opens the channel does it flow. Archangel Michael tells people that life doesn't end when they reject divine timing. But it gets heavier than it needs to be. Pay close attention to this part now. There is a change going on in your relationships. Some links were meant to be broken, not because they are bad, but because they have reached the end of their useful life. God planned for today to be the day you stop forcing things that don't work for your future. Who stays behind without conflict and who goes with you into the next season will become clear to you. According to Archangel Michael, you are going to be in a situation soon where what you say is very important, a conversation where being honest needs to be paired with wisdom. Silence must be chosen, not out of fear. Archangel Michael was sent to help you be more controlled. God didn't want you to say something hastily, emotionally, or defensively. People often speak too soon when they don't listen to divine warnings, and it takes months to fix the damage that one sentence caused. It was the right choice because you were finally ready to get it. In the past, warnings would not have hit this hard. You would have ignored them, thought they were wrong, or fought them. It is said by Archangel Michael, readiness is invisible until it is tested. This is also why you might feel a strange mix of peace and seriousness. Seriousness because you know how important it is. Peace. You know deep down that God is on your side and not against you. A message from heaven is never a threat. They are invitations that come with a sense of need. Come closer now before you drift farther than you need to. They say today pay attention to what you are saying to yourself. It is important what you tell yourself after reading this. You will fight back if you say this is too much. You will line up if you say this is for me. God's days are not measured by clocks or the time. Even when the sun is going down, heaven will record the moment you respond inside. God doesn't have to follow schedules. People honor Him by obeying Him. That is why this message got to you at that time, not before or after. Watch now, says Archangel Michael. I am not trying to put pressure on you. I am just trying to protect what is about to happen. Once alignment starts, the other side will often try to distract you. You might feel tired, distracted, or like you want to forget this message all of a sudden. That makes sense. It also means that something real has changed. Do not worry yourself into a trance. Just keep an eye on things. The next part will tell you what you shouldn't do in the next few hours and days, doing things that don't seem harmful, but quietly destroy what God just fixed. This is very important to understand because a lot of people get aligned and then undo it by being impatient. Pay close attention. This next insight could mean the difference between a long-lasting breakthrough and a short-term understanding. Archangel, my beloved soul, Michael is very clear because what you do next is just as important as what you know now. It is time to align. People are now aware again, but it is very clear in heaven. After receiving a divine warning, there are some things that should not be done. Many people lose what was given to them back, not because they rebel, but because they cannot wait. That is why this part is so important. Archangel Michael says that the enemy's first move after God resets a life is to rush without instructions. They feel a sudden need to act quickly. So they decide to speak before things become clear. If the pressure feels crazy, tense, or emotional, it is not divine acceleration. It takes attention away. You need to be more careful. When led by wisdom, silence is not avoidance, says Archangel Michael. It keeps you safe. God wants to keep you from putting yourself out there without a reason, from telling people your plans too soon, and from sharing your thoughts with people who aren't supposed to hold them. Now more than ever, this is important. Clear thinking often makes people eager to move when alignment comes back. But being eager without being taught can lead to mistakes. Archangel Michael tells people that they need to discipline their excitement. If you honor what God has already told you, He will speak to you again. Going too fast shows that you heard but didn't trust what they said. There is also a warning about going back to old stories. There is a chance that your mind will try to drag you back to painful memories of failed attempts to fix past problems. This is a sneaky Sabbath. God gave you power again so that you would stop living by memory and start living by instruction. Archangel Michael says that the past is no longer the guide. It will take away from what God is doing now if you keep looking at it. You might feel more sensitive in the next few hours. Small irritations, feelings that come out of the blue, and a heavy feeling that comes and goes. This is not going backwards. It is time for change. The soul changes when spiritual alignment does. Archangel Michael tells you not to take short-term feelings as long-term signs. Do not decide anything while your emotions are still adjusting. This is where waiting turns into obeying. God is also telling you not to look for approval from other people too quickly. You might want to tell someone who will not get it. What this message means that you should not get confirmation from people who are not spiritually in line with you. I would urge comes from not knowing enough, not being smart. When God speaks clearly, confirmation comes naturally. According to Archangel Michael, there is no need to push it. This morning, fear was put down. Self-assurance that just knows. That kind of trust comes from keeping divine instruction to yourself until God gives you permission to share it with others. That kind of trust, the kind that just knows, is rare, and it is only built in private. Heaven sees what is done in private more clearly than what is performed in public. A lot of blessings aren't received right away because they are told to the wrong people too soon. Another important warning has to do with too much correction. When someone wakes up, some people go too far in the opposite direction. They try to fix everything at the same time. Trust can be seen in stillness. Heaven moves ahead of you when you don't rush. God works while you wait. Archangel Michael confirms that changes are being made for you that you cannot see. Even now, conversations are coming together. Resistance is weakening and quiet paths are opening up. But these changes are affected by interference. If you try to force results, you stop the flow. You lose discernment when you are scared. Having doubts makes you less sure of yourself. Someone may contact you out of the blue, or you may feel compelled to get back in touch with an old friend. It was said by Archangel Michael that not all reconnections are restorations. As the saying goes, discernment will show you the difference. If there is no peace, take a moment to think. If things aren't clear, wait. When two people get back together, God doesn't rush the process. It is not about loss this season. It is about keeping things alive. God is watching over what He has planned for you to make sure it doesn't get messed up by feeling rushed, distracted, or angry. The process is guarded by Archangel Michael, who makes sure that what starts in alignment ends in wisdom. The next part will show you how to spot the first real sign that this warning has changed your life. There is something subtle but clear. You will know that heaven is involved when you see it. Once more, pay attention. What happens next backs up everything you just heard. Okay. Archangel Michael tells you how you will know this warning has been heeded. Because evidence from heaven always proves alignment. God doesn't leave His kids guessing all the time. The confirmation will not come as a loud shout, but as a shift that you cannot miss if you pay attention. Stability inside is the first sign. Things that used to make you anxious will now seem manageable. Changes in your reactions and thoughts will happen not because of changes in the situation, but because of changes in you. This is the return of inner authority, says Archangel Michael. When God takes charge again, chaos gets quieter. Even though you may still have problems, they will not be as important to you emotionally. Being this calm is not a sign of weakness. That is what spiritual positioning is. Through time, another sign will show up. The delays that made you angry will start to make sense. You may now understand that what you wanted earlier would have been bad for you if it had come true. God is changing the way you see time. Archangel Michael says that part of today's task was to stop being angry about having to wait. It is safe to speed up when waiting turns into trust. You might also notice that some things that used to be fun become less appealing. Things you used to do to get away from thinking too much. Scrolling pointlessly or having unhealthy conversations will feel empty. This isn't being bored. This is called detachment. Heaven is letting go what needs to go so that you can handle what is coming. You will feel restless if you try to fight this detachment. You will feel better if you accept it. Watch how much you sleep. A lot of people say they can rest better after alignment. The reason for this is that spiritual vigilance wears you out even if nothing changes when not lined up right. Archangel Michael shows that God brings back rest when power is returned. It is not a coincidence. If your sleep starts to get better, it proves something. There is also a sign outside that you should look out for. Someone may say something that confirms what you already know to be true. Not a prophecy, not a compliment, but confirmation. It could happen without them realizing how serious it is. Wait until it is over before you react. Hearing the truth over and over again makes it easier to spot confirmation. That is why I want you to subscribe right now if you haven't already. When you subscribe, you do more than just watch what a channel posts. In this way, you are setting yourself up for a steady flow of prophetic instruction. You are putting yourself in line with the words that heaven keeps sending you. Sign up now to make sure you never miss the messages God has planned for your future. Finally, hear this well. As soon as confirmation starts, responsibility grows. You don't just align things once. It is a way to stand. This is why participation is important. Alignment is strengthened when you take part by liking, commenting, sharing, and supporting things that make you feel good. It is getting my attention. Take a moment now if this message has been helping you. To show that you agree, click like on this video. Tell someone who is spiritually uneasy about it because they may be on their own day. Say something honest from the bottom of your heart, even if it is something simple. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Not because they have to, but because they don't want to. Remember things that keep you spiritually awake by staying in touch with them. This is how you keep what was fixed safe. This is also where Archangel Michael warns, do not use big changes to judge confirmation. At first, God's most lasting work seems subtle. People who want things to change right away often miss the slow strengthening that leads to long-term stability. You are not being pushed into something exciting. You are being rooted in something that will last. There may be times when doubt comes back, like when I wonder if this is really for me or if I am just making it up. This is fine. After clarity, doubt often comes back. Just go back to being still. Truth doesn't need to be defended in order to stay true. Easier boundaries are another sign that things are getting right. You will not feel as guilty saying no. You will not have to explain yourself as much, and staying away from what bothers you will be easier. This is God making your discernment stronger. Things that used to take work will soon feel natural. It shows that internal authority has been restored. Pay attention in the next few days. Heaven is moving things around you that you cannot see. The chances are changing. There are new uses for delays. There is protection. Now is not the time to be careless or distracted. Now is the time to stay briefly alert. Archangel Michael stresses gentleness because fear blocks discernment and makes it stronger. Hold on to this reminder before things get worse. This day was chosen by God because you could respond if He didn't trust you to handle the responsibility that comes after. He wouldn't have told you. You are not supposed to fail. You have been given the job of aligning. Do not stop this process. What comes next shows us how to join God in what He is doing so that momentum doesn't fade. If you want to know what the difference is between people who stay in alignment and those who slowly fall back into confusion, listen to this next part. Archangel, my love Michael, talks about working together because alignment that isn't kept up slowly fades into memory. A lot of people get clarity, feel peace for a moment, and then wonder why the confusion came back weeks later. It is not because God pulled away, because stewardship is necessary for alignment. When God fixes something, He wants it to be respected. What heaven starts, people must protect. Archangel Michael shows that working with God doesn't have to be done all the time. It means being aware of what makes you stronger, what makes you weak, and the subtle changes in your spirit all the time. One big mistake doesn't cause most people to lose their alignment. It is the little things they forget to do. That is when discernment is at its weakest. When you are on autopilot. This season calls for deliberate living. Rhythm is one of the main ways that alignment is kept up. God works through rhythm. rest, thought, action, and quiet. Rhythm breaks down when life gets out of hand. God is asking you to slow down inside. According to Archangel Michael, even if your duties to other people stay the same, heaven can lead people who are slow of spirit. Being in a hurry gets in the way of learning. You need to learn how to check in with yourself. Not too much or too little, but honestly, just ask basic things. Am I calm now? Am I making you do something? Should I be responding or reacting? It is not a psychological tool to ask these questions. They are places of spiritual checkpoints. If you ask them honestly, God will answer with either worry or peace. Archangel Michael agrees that peace is the most important sign of alignment. Something is off when peace leaves. It is not necessarily wrong, but it is not in the right place. Speaking slowly is another important part of working together. Words tell you what to do. When carelessly spoken, they change the energy. You might want to complain, explain, or vent about things. God is already making changes. Archangel Michael warns that talking too much during a divine movement slows things down. Not because God is weak, but because words show how much trust there is. If you choose silence wisely, it shows that you trust God's plan. So right now, while everything is quiet, I want you to say that you trust me. Make it a promise to God. Another promise is that you will not rush things and that you will not speak out of fear. Instead, you will wait for His instructions. Using discernment in speech is what it means. Share with people you are supposed to help, not with people who question everything that is holy. Some listen to understand while others listen to judge. This time of year, you need fewer judges and more intercessors. It doesn't matter if that circle gets smaller. Another guardian of the truth, Michael, tells us this. Testing is drawn to alignment. If you let punishment testing happen, chances will come up that look familiar but feel a little off with new packaging. Old patterns may show up again. God is checking to see if you will make a different choice. Now that you know more, pick something else. God is watching to see if you will make a different choice. Now that you know more, this is one of those moments. Most people feel something real in a message like this one and then let it pass without doing anything different. If you want this moment to register as a genuine turning point, let your response be real. You don't have to show anyone proof of growth. All you have to do is honor it. If something drains you, it drains you too much. If something needs to be given up, it is not from God. Alignment makes choices easier. If something is right, it brings peace, even if it brings trouble. If something is wrong, it brings confusion, even if it brings comfort. Also, pay attention to your body. Archangel Michael says that the body acts before the mind can understand. Feelings of tightness, heaviness, or exhaustion for no reason can be signs. You are a whole person that God made. Ignoring your body's signals can lead to burnout. When you align, you bring sustainability, not depletion. When you share this video, you are not just giving it to other people. You are letting the anointing go. It is possible for someone else to make a breakthrough through you. Heaven knows right away that you obeyed when you shared. Share this video right now to make breakthrough happen for your network. Let them wake up through your obedience. Some things go away because they don't fit with the person you are becoming. Don't go after what leaves. Don't be sad about what goes away on its own. Archangel Michael shows that holding on to what God takes away slows down what God sends next. Believe in the pruning. It makes room for growth you cannot even imagine yet. Being grateful is another quiet but powerful practice. Being grateful keeps things in balance. Being grateful without being forced is what I mean. It is stewardship training for what God wants to give you next. You need to be mature, not quick. Because of this season seems less busy than usual. Seasons of peace make roots stronger. Fruit is shown during loud seasons. Archangel Michael tells you that fruit will come, but first the roots need to grow deeper. God is not behind schedule. He is exact. It seems slow to people who are impatient, but it feels perfect to people who trust it. Hold on tight. When you start to doubt, come back to being still. When things get tough, go back to peace. It is not flashy. It stays true. What comes next is very important because Archangel Michael will show you how this alignment affects your stability and provision in the future. A lot of people get this part wrong and either fear lack or rush into abundance too soon. The next message will bring balance, which you will need to move forward wisely. The complete guide, every daily prayer, every spiritual tool, everything I've put together to help you grow your faith is down in the description. It's called the Daily Miracle Manual. Now stay right here with me because as this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. You can support this work through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community, by doing so, you become part of Jesus' plan to save souls who are still stuck in fog. Every seed turns into light that fights against darkness. If you water others, you will be watered yourself. Jesus says, this is not history. It is a living promise about your future. Come into this moment with faith and a plan. What God has already planned for your life can be unlocked through your giving. Archangel, my love, a lot of people are secretly struggling with provision and stability, which is why Michael talks about them. People hear warnings, alignment, and orders. But deep down they think, what about my safety? What will happen to me? What do I need? Heaven is aware of these inquiries. Today was also meant to change the way you think about provision. Archangel tells you that God's plan for you was never based on your survival. It had to do with sustainability. Being reactive is a part of survival. Being sustainable makes you smart. There was always pressure on you. But God had a plan to move you to stable ground. That is why alignment with the required first provision without alignment makes people nervous. Peace is created by provision with alignment. Pay attention to this. Folks who don't pay attention to divine timing often go after provision before it is time. They jump at chances that look good but have hidden costs. What God did was keep you safe from that. This message was meant to keep you from pursuing short-term gains that will make you less stable in the long run. This is what Archangel Michael says. Some of the doors you wanted were not blessings. They were burdens that looked like breakthroughs. This season is all about clean food. Making sure that doesn't keep you up at night. Provision that doesn't go against your values. Something that doesn't force you to change who you are. God planned for you to be set up in a way that is calm, not crazy, but provision for calm only flows when trust is back. That is why we had to deal with fear first. Some kind of money or material worry has been bothering you for a while now. Some of the things you do are affected by it, but you don't talk about it much. God has not forgotten about this issue. According to Archangel Michael, he has been waiting for alignment so that he can deal with it without hurting anyone. When fear drives choices, provision isn't stable. Provision is consistent. When trust guides decisions, you are being kept from making deals that would have worn you down later. Archangel Michael says that heaven blocked some paths not to make you angry but to keep your peace in the future. Another truth needs to come out. Provision is linked to obedience, not just effort. Work is important, but obedience guides work in the right direction. A lot of people work hard in the wrong direction and don't understand why progress feels slow. God planned to reroute your work so that it eventually multiplies instead of just staying the same. Getting aligned is what turns effort into growth. Soon you might notice that your thoughts are more clear. It is the return of order. Now is a very important time for your faith to speak up. What should you write in the comments? I receive divine provision. When God will give you what He wants, not because you are asking for it. He will give you what He already has planned. Let go of any fear of not having enough as you type it. This comment should be the sound of your trust beating your worry. Do it right now and you will feel heaven lean in to honor your faith. Provision goes more smoothly when order comes back. When people are less afraid, they are more generous. Not just with money, but also with their spirit. God is getting you ready to be a channel, not a container. Eventually, containers will overflow and cannot be stopped. Flow can happen through conduits without any pressure. That is why your heart is getting better right now. It is best for provision to flow through clear channels. Pay attention to one thing. Do not make vows based on fear. You cannot move forward when you say things like, "I will never trust again," or "I will always struggle for subtle agreements." Archangel Michael warns that words spoken out of fear can make provision take longer. Be careful when you talk this season. Even if things are still changing, let your words show that you trust them. Also, let your actions show that you trust them. More than just a feature. The like button on this video, there is a chance when you press it, you bring God's blessings into your life. You are saying, "I believe heaven is watching and I welcome divine assistance." When faith is shown, good things happen. Right now, show your faith by giving this video a like. If this feels right to your spirit, type, "I receive divine provision" in the comments. Dear one, as an archangel, it sounds like the Lord is telling Michael, those who help carry my voice will never lack what they need. This message feeds souls that are at a very important crossroads, and your obedience keeps the river going. As this awakening grows inside you, know that helping with this mission is not a joke. It is a sign from God. When people feel stable, they often lose their momentum because they think the next steps will be clear. But God doesn't always lead all at once. Sometimes He leads slowly. This is where you need to keep using your discernment. Your future will not look like a sudden jump, says Archangel Michael. Instead, it will be a steady unfolding. You might notice that the things you want are changing. Things you used to really want may now seem like they are not necessary. You might start to be interested in things you never thought about before. This is not a lack of choice. We call it refinement. Archangel Michael says, God is reshaping your appetite. So, your future aligns with your capacity, not just your ambition. You do not need to be fearless. You need to be attentive. Many mistakes happen not because people are afraid, but because they are distracted. There is also a relational aspect to your future path. New connections will enter slowly, not all at once. These relationships will feel calm, not consuming, familiar, not intense. God is removing drama from your future. If something demands emotional chaos to sustain itself, it is not part of what heaven is building. Archangel Michael warns that intensity is not the same as destiny. God will guide you through peace, not pressure. If something feels rushed, forced, or fear-driven thought, heaven does not push. It leads. When something is right, it aligns naturally with who you are becoming. Another important revelation is about self-trust. God is restoring your ability to trust your discernment. For a long time, you may have doubted your instincts because of past mistakes. Archangel Michael says, those mistakes were lessons, not disqualifications. Your discernment is sharper now because you learned through experience. God trusts you more than you trust yourself. At times, this restoration of self-trust is crucial. Without it, you will constantly seek permission from others. Second, guess yourself or delay decisions unnecessarily. God is teaching you to listen inwardly, not impulsively, but prayerfully, not emotionally, but attentively. Archangel Michael reveals that God is narrowing your field of influence. So your energy is not scattered. Scattered energy produces scattered results. Do not resist this narrowing. You can learn from the past, but it shouldn't guide you. God's direction always points you forward, even when it remembers where you came from. Believe in the speed. There are other people with you. You are being carefully led. What comes next is very important because it deals with how to keep this future from slowly falling apart. A lot of people start out well, give up, get distracted, or don't do what they need to do. Next, God shows us how to protect what He is building so it lasts. Stay in the present. What comes next might be the most useful advice in this whole message. Beloved one, Archangel Michael is now giving you a safety message. Futures aren't usually ruined by one big event. Instead, they are slowly destroyed by small compromises that don't seem like a big deal at the time. Heaven will talk about this now. So do what God has told you to do and you will not be sorry. Archangel Michael says that distraction is often the first sign of erosion. Even though nothing seems wrong, the peace is slowly fading. This is how things get out of line. Not by rebelling, but by not caring enough. This is why you need to plan to protect your future. God isn't telling you to be careful or afraid in your daily life. He wants you to live a conscious life. Living a conscious life keeps discernment alive. When you use your discernment, compromise is easy to see instead of appealing. The goal is not perfection, but attention. According to Archangel Michael, emotional exhaustion is one of the most frequent dangers to spiritual momentum. When people are tired, they don't hold themselves as high. They don't mind what they used to avoid. They say yes when they should take a moment to think. God doesn't judge people who are tired, but He does tell them not to make decisions when they are tired. This is why resting is still a way to obey. There are too many thoughts, voices, and inputs. Archangel Michael warns that too much information makes people less spiritually sensitive. Not all information is bad for you, but too much noise makes it hard to hear the directions. So, speak quietly. There needs to be room to hear God's guidance. Another risk is giving up on your values in small ways. Not many big decisions are made at the start. Archangel Michael says that giving reasons is often the first thing that people do to get out of alignment. God makes things clear again so you don't have to bargain with your conscience. Take care of what you know. What you put inside it determines where you go. Being picky is what God is teaching you. Not being busy. People who are busy feel like they are getting things done, but they often don't move forward. People who are focused keep moving forward. Pay attention to what drains you over and over. If something consistently drains you, makes you feel confused, or makes you uneasy, you should think about it again. By doing things that feed your spirit, you strengthen your sense of direction. Because of this, agreeing that taking a moment to like this video is important. Sharing it is important because someone else might be drifting today and needs this warning. This is how you stay aligned in a world full of distractions. Archangel Michael also tells you that God has plans for your future that include having power. Not always public, but important. There will be times when it feels lonely to guard your future. Not because you are by yourself, but because fewer people will understand why you are being so calm. Some may move faster, make more noise, or be flashier. Stay with me for a little while longer before we move on. The next revelation finishes the warning and shows what happens when people fully honor a holy day like this. You will want to hear it because it ties everything together and tells you how to obey in the long run. Now, beloved, Archangel Michael speaks with a sense of completion in mind. Because every divine warning ends with a promise. God doesn't skip over people's lives just to teach them a lesson. He stops to keep things going. What you are going through now isn't just advice for today. It is also getting you ready for what will happen after you obey in the future. This part tells you what starts to happen in your life when you fully honor a divine day. Archangel Michael tells people that stability becomes their new normal when they listen to good advice like this. It is not perfection or ease without work. It is steadiness, emotional steadiness, spiritual steadiness, and steadiness in making decisions. The inner chaos that used to make life seem unpredictable starts to calm down. Not because problems go away, but because power is back in the hands of the people. Reactions become less harsh when authority comes back. You start to notice that life doesn't feel like an emergency all the time. This is a very clear sign that obedience has taken hold. God planned for you to be stable a long time ago, but you had to be in the right place for it to work. Archangel Michael agrees that a lot of people don't have this steadiness because they don't stop long enough to learn. Honoring today also leads to clarity and identity. When you stop asking yourself, "Who am I supposed to be?" you start seeing who you already are. This change is quiet but strong. It takes away fear. It stops comparing. It keeps confidence steady. Self-assurance that doesn't need praise. Confidence that doesn't fall apart when someone criticizes you. Confidence that comes from being in line with something instead of being approved of because God seals identities through obedience. Archangel Michael explains, confusion is less likely to happen when identity is sealed. To seal what has begun today, I invite you to subscribe. It is not about missing videos when you subscribe. No matter who subscribes, they have agreed to learn more. To activate the prophetic promise over your life, click the subscribe button right now. Let this be the moment when your yes stays. Yes. Archangel Michael tells you that when you look back in years to come, you will be amazed at how much you were able to avoid problems because you listened today. Things like relationships that didn't hurt you and choices you never felt bad about will be gone. We can see quiet mercy at work here. As a result, spiritual sensitivity grows instead of decreasing. A lot of people worry that awareness will fade over time. In fact, awareness fades over time when it is ignored. Your prayer life changes too. Prayer stops being long explanations and starts being a conversation. It stops being desperate and turns into a conversation. When there is no anger, joy is still possible. Even when things are uncertain, one more strong result is resilience. Instability is not the same thing as resilience. You keep going without getting angry. Archangel Michael confirms that obedience makes you stronger because it aligns you with truth instead of circumstance. This also changes how other people see you, not by performance, but by being there. God often uses people who are aligned to hold other people up. Even when they don't say a word, influence grows slowly and you might not notice it right away. One more result is less fear of the future. Not because they know everything, but because they trust each other. Fear goes away as trust grows. Archangel Michael says, fear thrives in uncertainty, but trust thrives in alignment. You will still care about the future, but it will no longer dominate your thoughts. This is what happens when a divine warning is honored rather than ignored. Life will not become perfect, but it becomes ordered, and order is where peace lives. Archangel Michael affirms that you have done the most important part already and now remain attentive just a little longer. The final revelation brings closure, blessing, and confirmation. It explains what heaven releases when obedience is completed and how this day will be remembered in your life moving forward. Now, Archangel Michael speaks the final word over this appointed day. Because heaven never closes a warning without releasing a seal. What began as urgency now becomes assurance. What began as correction now becomes confirmation. This day will not fade into memory. It will be remembered in your spirit as a turning point. Whether you fully realize it now or only understand it later, Archangel Michael reveals that when a divine day is honored from beginning to end, God does something profound. He locks in protection, not temporary protection, but sustained covering. Covering over decisions, covering over time, and covering over paths you have not yet walked. This does not mean life will be without challenge, but it does mean challenges will no longer have unchecked access to you. You did not just listen to a message. You responded to timing. Heaven marks responses, not intentions. Many intend to change, intend to listen, intend to obey. But response is what moves spiritual records. Today, your response shifted your spiritual position. Archangel Michael confirms that what was at risk has now been preserved. What was fragile has been strengthened. What was vulnerable has been guarded. This is why peace feels deeper now. Not excitement, not adrenaline. Peace. Peace is heaven's signature when alignment is complete. It is the quiet knowing that something settled correctly. Even if nothing dramatic happens externally today, internally something has been sealed, and sealed things do not leak away easily. This day also resets your relationship with timing. The kind of wisdom that waits before speaking. Wisdom that trusts before getting scared. This knowledge will keep your relationships, choices, and chances you haven't even met yet safe. Archangel Michael says that heaven would rather stop harm than fix it after the fact. Today was a day of mercy wrapped in prevention. Now listen carefully to this last instruction. Spread this message. If you care about someone and believe in them, send this to them. They need to hear that God has marked their day. Share this word so it can get where it needs to go. Someone else might wake up because you did what you were told. Heaven wants one last act of agreement before this seal is finished. If you get this task done, type "I honor God's timing" in the comments. As we get ready to end this holy moment, I ask you one more time. If your heart is full, if you feel at peace with how things are now, and if you know that today something changed that cannot be undone, then say one last thing to heaven as your last seal. Type "Amen" in the comments section below. Not a hasty amen, but a quiet, deep amen. As an amen, you say, "So be it." This locks in everything you have received. You should write it down right now as your signature on this divine agreement. Beloved, as this appointed day comes to a close, I hear the Lord saying, "Those who help me preserve moments like these will never lose what I give them." You came here because heaven arranged it. You stayed because something in you knew this was real. And now the seal is being set. If you want the full guide with every prayer and lesson I've compiled for this community, check the description for the Daily Miracle Manual. You are about to enter your divine future. But remember, this breakthrough is not for you alone. Your testimony is the bridge someone else will use to reach their own miracle. Archangel Michael is inviting you to visit community through the link in the description or the pinned comment. Whether by buying a coffee, making a donation, or becoming a member of our community does not go to a channel, your actions are supporting a divine mission to save lost souls. By joining our like-minded community, you are no longer praying in isolation. You are adding your voice to a global sanctuary where we discuss the Word daily and stand in the gap for one another. This is not poetry. When Jesus says, "G and heaven will open over you." On this platform, every seed you plant turns into oil for your destiny, fire for your calling, and a hedge of safety for your family. Now is your time. Step into our community prayer wall. Share your heart. And as you give, watch God multiply what you let go of. Let's finish this journey together. Visit our community now. Join the family and see your heavens open before we reach the end of this powerful story. Pause and receive this truth. You did not stumble onto Archangel echoes by accident. Out of every voice on this platform, you were led here. And that is a divine appointment meant specifically for you. The link in the description and pinned comment opens the door to the Archangel Echo's inner circle. A protected, faith-filled community where divine abundance is not merely hoped for, but promised through the Word. When you step into our membership tiers, you unlock daily devotions, sacred teachings, and divine insights that remain hidden from the world. Inside Archangel Echoes, you will find spiritual guidance, unwavering prayer covering on our community prayer wall, and accelerated movement toward the destiny written over your life. Do not let this moment pass you by. Your breakthrough is already in motion. And if you feel called to carry this light into your home, our guided ebooks and Bibles are waiting in the pinned comment. Whether you join the Archangel Echo family as a member or sow a seed through our resources, your presence changes the atmosphere. Take the step. Your abundance awaits.